Did you know, out of every 100 rupees you put into a Nifty 50 index fund, 53 rupees goes into just 10 companies and 27 rupees goes into just 3. Most of you watching this have an SIP running in a Nifty index fund or a Nifty ETF. You invested into it thinking it was money which was being invested and diversified into 50 different companies and stocks, but 53 rupees into 10 companies, with the 50th company getting just 50 paise of allocation. That is how your money is being split up right now. I actually started looking into this because of South Korea. Their market has moved up and down like crazy, and the flagship index KOSPI has been falling 5 to 10% on random days. The price swings are just too violent, and there is one specific reason for that. Two companies, Samsung and SK Hynix, make up nearly 60% of their entire index. This made me wonder, is our Nifty index fund also giving us the illusion of diversification? Are we all running into a trap with our portfolios that needs to be corrected before we get into violent moves like in South Korea? So in this video, we'll understand three things. One, what your Nifty index fund actually holds and why 50 companies doesn't mean what you think it means. 2. What rules decide where your money goes into when you invest into an index fund. And 3. The 3 potential changes that you can make to your own investment strategy based on all the learnings. So if that's the case, what are you waiting for? This is Ajay Ajit. Welcome to Market Feed. First, let's look at what is actually inside your Nifty 50 index fund. The two numbers, 53 and 27 that we discussed earlier, come straight off the NSE fact sheet from this year. HDFC Bank today takes about 10.5 rupees out of 100 rupees that you invest into this fund. ICICI Bank takes a little over 8. Reliance also takes another 8. The top 10 companies between all of them take 53 rupees out of your 100 invested. That leaves 47 rupees for the other 40 companies. That is barely 1 rupee each. In fact, when you look into it deeply, the last company gets just 0.5 rupees out of the 100. Think of it like a cricket team. You have a playing 11, which looks like a great batting and bowling depth. But if only 3 guys are scoring almost all the runs and taking all the wickets, you don't really have a good team. You just have 3 good players and 8 other guys just hoping that the first 3 actually perform. If they perform average, you are in trouble because the others don't have the capability to save your team. If they are underperforming, then you're in an even bigger trouble. So here is what that concentration actually means for you. If HDFC, ICICI and Reliance fell 20%, your entire index fund drops by about 5.5% from those 3 names alone. I'm not even talking about a market-wide sell-off. That happens even before the other 47 companies have moved even an inch. And that is just pure math. It's not a prediction. So now you understood, when you invest into Nifty 50, where exactly your money is going into. But who made these rules? Which fund manager sat down and thought HDFC Bank deserves 10% of everyone's money? For those of you who just heard about an index fund and directly decided to invest into it, you definitely have to listen to the next section and understand how they work. So who decides where and how much the money goes inside an index fund? The answer is actually nobody. There is no one fund manager taking a call, no committee sitting around and voting for it. The weights come straight out of a mathematical formula and it runs whether anyone is paying attention or whether they are not. Now, here is how it works. Normally, when you want to understand the valuation of a company, you take the share price and multiply it by the total number of shares. That is market cap. But the Nifty doesn't use that number. It uses something called as a free float market cap. That means it only counts the shares that can be actually bought and sold on the open market. Promoter holdings don't get counted. Anything logged in that cannot be available in the open market also does not count. So if a company is 50% owned by a promoter, only the other half counts towards weight in the index. That is exactly why Reliance has only the 3rd highest weightage, even though it is the biggest company in Nifty. A huge chunk of it is held by the promoter's Ambani family, so it isn't simply counted. It is the exact same story with TCS and Tata Sons too. So you take the free float market value of a company, divide it by the free float value of all 50 companies combined, and that gives the exact percentage weightage inside Nifty. These calculations happen based on real-time price movements, and every 6 months, the 50 stocks themselves are reviewed. Simply put, the bigger a company's openly tradable part is, the bigger the slice of your SIP it automatically takes. So if nobody is choosing these weights, is anybody at least putting a limit on them? Let's look at that. Well, HDFC Bank is 10.6% of Nifty right now. Every other equity mutual fund in India is legally capped at 10% of its assets in one single company. If you buy an active large cap fund, that is a strict ceiling that you have to follow. That means your Nifty index fund is currently holding a position that an active mutual fund in this country literally is not allowed to hold. Sectoral indices also have per stock cappings, but the Nifty index does not. Let's look at other countries' flagship indices to understand if it's a normal case. S&P 500 of the US has no capping, just like us, and they're having a top 10 concentration, but it is only 40% right now, and still it is one of the hottest discussed topics. Are they having over concentration into just the top 10 stocks? European countries and Canada have an individual capping of 10 to 15% per stock. Hong Kong has a ceiling of just 8% per stock. So this is not a loophole. Different countries and exchanges have different rules. Nobody is breaking the law. It is just the way it is all set and how all of them work. So what can potentially be the problem here? In the Korean example that we discussed in the beginning of the video, we saw how two companies are deciding how their entire market index performs every single day, and that is causing volatility at a level which has never been seen before. In our Indian markets context, a stock like HDFC Bank having a weightage of 10.5% is actively hurting your returns because of all the issues it is having nowadays. If you are not updated on the current situation, and if you want a detailed video of HDFC Bank's story of where they started and the huge trap they are in right now, make sure you comment down below. Not just HDFC, look into how Reliance and ICICI Bank have also performed over the last 1 year. You'll understand how they're limiting Nifty's growth right now. Meanwhile, take the example of another stock, Shriram Finance, that's also in Nifty 50. The stock has moved up by 60% over the last 1 year, but it barely even gave returns of 1% profits to your fund. So what is actually happening here? When you're investing into a Nifty 50 index fund, you're diversified in the number of companies you own, but you're not diversified in your actual outcomes. See, why I'm concerned more is that this problem is very specific to only Nifty 50. In the mid-cap index, the concentration of top 10 stocks is 33%. In the small-cap index, the concentration is only 21%. So when I was reviewing my entire mutual fund portfolio, I had this thought, this is not how I wanted my money to be invested, giving me an illusion of diversification, while in reality it was very, very different. So I started looking for alternative options. Now these three thoughts were based on my research and my perspective. This can be very different based on who you are as an investor. So keep that in mind. So let's get to the first option. It is called as Nifty 50 Equal Weight Index. It holds all Nifty 50 companies but with an identical weightage. Nothing added, nothing removed. Instead of sizing them by the free float, every company gets approximately 2%. If you pull up the fact sheet of Nifty 50 and Nifty 50 Equal Weight Index side by side, the difference is going to be massive because of that. In the regular Nifty, the biggest holding is HDFC Bank at over 10%. We know that. But now it will just become 2% in the Equal Weight Index. Financials as a sector drops from 35% here to just 22%. Healthcare doubles from more than 5% to 10%. So now you might be thinking, which index should I invest into? But that is a wrong question because we have not yet heard of the other two options. The second option that I had was based on another interesting hypothesis. Make the top 10 businesses in the country my only concentrated bets by choice. Not getting fooled into thinking I'm diversified, but jumping in, knowing very well that it is a concentrated bet. There is an index even for that, the Nifty Top 10 Equal Weight Fund. But over the last year, it is down by more than 13% because the top stocks have not performed. Now, let's say if I believe over the next coming months, for some reasons, the biggest ones are going to perform the best, I can have it as an option. The top 10 companies have underperformed in the last 5 years. compared to the rest of the market. And historically, that is exactly the position they recover from. Also, hope you already have context of what different strategic indices are. If not, I will share a few videos on the I button where you can learn about all of them. Which brings us to option number 3, an active mutual fund. This is where you hand the steering wheel over to a professional. Instead of letting a blind mathematical formula dictate your portfolio, an actual human fund manager decides exactly where to put your money. They buy and sell stocks based on deep research and conviction, not just because a company happens to be massive in their market cap. But there is a catch. Humans, they can make bad calls, and also they will charge you a higher fee for doing the heavy lifting. But if you're looking at the track record of the fund manager and find someone that you can actually trust, this can be a good shot at outperforming the market rather than copying it. So now that you have all possible 3 options in front of you, obviously there is also a 4th option, which is not to do anything. All of these, the choices that you make will depend on what sort of investor you are, and it is purely a personal choice. Now, if you're asking me what I'm doing with my own portfolio, I'm not going to sell all of my Nifty holdings just yet, but I'm no longer keeping my default large cap SIP option as Nifty. For me personally, I would like to shift my strategies a bit. Active SIPs in Nifty are being modified into 65% Nifty equal weight index funds and 35% Nifty top 10 equal weight funds. Again, reminding you that this is not investment advice. This is just a decision based on my want and need that I want to have more visibility and control over how my money is being invested. And if you are to do one thing after watching this video, just do this. Open your mutual funds fact sheet. Let it be active, passive, whatever. It takes literally 1 minute. Look at the top 10 holdings and the concentration of those stocks. Look at the sector split. If it's an active fund, read the fund manager's outlook, their planned investments and preferred strategies. Then, no matter if it's an active or a passive fund, make sure your decision of where you invest your money is made with an active thought. So hope you got a lot of value from this video. If you have any doubts or you want to start a discussion, make sure you do that in the comments down below. This is Ajay signing off. See you all. Bye bye.